Hey there, I'm Chris White, the creator of Fiercely Loving Fathers, and this is the introductory class to whining, tantrums, and tears. So I'm going to start with some big picture models today because I think models are really helpful in understanding the complexity of life. Of course, remember that models are a big reduction of life and that they don't always fit the circumstances, and they're always simpler than the actual life itself. So sometimes models aren't perfect, but sometimes they can be certain ways of looking at the world that help elucidate some of the underlying dynamics and make things more clear than the full complexity of life could make it. It's kind of like a map. You need the important parts on the map. You don't put every little pebble and grass and stone in there because that's too much. You just put the pathways, right? There's the mountain, there's the lakes, there's the pathway. So the first model that I use is the 3 stages of parenting. Parenting 1.0 is the authoritarian model of parenting. It's the my way or the highway kind of approach. It's where the parent really controls the child, dominates the child, uses punishments, rewards, bribes, any method they can to sculpt and shape the child into the image that they want the child to be or that they think the child needs to become in order to work out in society. So this is commonly known as the authoritarian approach to parenting. I call it parenting 1.0. The upgrade from that is a little bit more of an enlightened form of parenting. It says, wait a minute, the child's its own unique person, right? They have their own feelings and desires, their uniqueness, right? And we should attune to them and their inner world and support that uniqueness in blooming into its full potential. We should get down on their level more. We should connect with them more, prioritize the relationship, not necessarily the behavior so much. We should preserve childhood innocence as long as possible. So this parenting 2.0 is an upgrade from the authoritarian model, and I call it a more enlightened form of parenting. However, this approach also isn't the fullest version. It leaves out certain things. And in Fiercely Loving Fathers, I'm creating a new model for parenting, especially for fathers of boys, and I call it Becoming a Fiercely Loving Father. And I'll describe the specifics of a Fiercely Loving Father more as we go through the course. But in general, what it does is it takes the parenting 2.0 model, which is much more attuned to the inner world of the child and attuned to their authenticity, and does have the desire to make them happy and preserve their childhood innocence. It takes that approach, but it also brings back some of the healthier inclinations of the first approach, which is that boundaries are very important in life. Holding children in boundaries forces them to grow, to get creative in their responses, to develop beyond the narcissism that they would otherwise continue to express across their lifespan if they didn't have containers and boundaries. So it brings back some more of the masculine energies into the equation and helps hold children in positions where they can learn and grow and develop beyond their own selfishness. I'll describe this more as we go on. The second model we're going to talk about today is a model that I learned from one of my mentors, Gordon Neufeld, and it's called the Wheel of Aggression. And I think this will really help you if you can put on kind of your biological and evolutionary eyes in this situation, why we are built this way as humans and why the energy runs through our nervous system and specifically how it runs through our nervous system. When you see in this way, it'll become more clear what's going on when your child is whining or emotionally manipulating or getting aggressive. You'll be able to see it more clearly like, okay, this is what the brain and the nervous system are doing in this situation, and this is why, and this is how I can interact with it most appropriately. So this model, I want you to imagine a traffic circle. And it's not clear to me which way the circle is going in your video because this may be reversed. But for me, the energy goes around the circle in a counterclockwise direction. So I'm not sure if it's counter or straight for you. You'll have to figure this out. But the energy is coming around in this way. When we have a need, so when our nervous system registers that we have a particular need or desire something, the energy comes in at the top and starts to head around the circle. Now, if at the 3 o'clock position of the circle, the person is able to affect change, say they're just hungry and they want food, the desire for food comes in, they come around. If they're able to affect change and get the food and just eat the food, the nervous system relaxes and they go back down to a state of rest and relaxation before they have a next need. So the first off ramp of that circle is called change or affecting change. And when things are going well, that's what we do, right? We're driven towards certain forms of nourishment. Hopefully that nourishment is forthcoming and we just get off and our nervous system relaxes back down. And that's one of our main jobs as parents, by the way, is to read the need of our children and go ahead and meet that need so we can keep them in a relaxed, rested state, or at least support them in getting their need met if they are going to do it themselves. So that's the first offshoot of the traffic circle. If they're not able to affect change, getting off at the circle there, they come around down to the 6 o'clock position. Now the 6 o'clock position is getting off in a place of vulnerability. It's basically accepting defeat in the situation, being disappointed that you didn't get your need met, being sad about not getting what you wanted, feeling powerless. Now, most people don't get off the traffic circle here very easily. This is vulnerable territory. It usually takes multiple passes around the circle of us trying different things, trying to get our way, trying to get our need met before we might sink down into vulnerable territory. It's actually one of the things that Americans in particular are really bad at. It's hard for people to sink into vulnerability, but our culture in particular does not support this very well, and I'll talk about this adaptive process later in the course. So usually what happens is if we don't affect change, we bypass vulnerability, we're going to get our need met by gosh darn it, and we move around to the 9 o'clock position, which is where we can get off and become aggressive. Okay, we're not getting our need met. The energy is getting fiery, and now we're starting to push a little bit, and we're starting to push to get our way, right? And this can tip over, if we get off the circle here, in attack, in aggression, in being forceful about getting whatever it is we want. And who cares about the person we're hitting or the situation we're messing up? We just want what we want, and we get aggressive. And so that's kind of an attack form there. Now, of course, as a parent, you want to not allow that to happen. That's not a good way to get your need met, to dominate and bully other people just to get your need met. So you try to hold them in it and you have them go around another pass. But hopefully you can see how the energy starts to move through our nervous system in these situations. It has different options for it. And once you start seeing beneath some of the behaviors that kids are doing into the underlying energy as it's moving around the circle, it'll become more clear to you what your options are as a parent to help this along. So, once again, come around the circle, affect change. If that doesn't happen, you've got a chance to sink into your vulnerable feelings and your disappointment around that not happening, or you come around and then you have a chance to get aggressive. Hopefully somebody stops you from being aggressive. It helps be your prefrontal cortex. It says, hang on, try something else, and moves the energy along, and you try to be more creative in getting your needs met without overpowering someone else. So we'll go more deeply into each of these options and what to do about it in videos that are coming up. Take care.